in 2011. I had a little bit of free time before I was going to go to Grand Valley State and pursue a degree in geography. So I started fooling around just with making alcohol, just like basics. So I boiled some apples in water, added some sugar, and used some bread yeast. And then I put that fluid in a milk carton and put a balloon on for an airlock, and it worked. It made something. It tasted like alcohol and something in there. But when I got the concept down of how the process works, I think I just got done watching Robin Hood with Russell Crowe, and Friar Tuck in that movie has the whole apiary thing going on.
Oh, yeah.
Barrels and barrels of mead, and I was like, oh, I got to make that, because I've known what it was probably my whole life, but I've never actually had it before. So I thought, well, I want to try this and see if it tastes if it tastes good. So I made my first batch of mead that September. I tried a few meads in stores I was very unhappy with, and then I finally got to try some Polish mead.
Yeah.
From Jaros, and it was I think it was a 1-to-1 ratio. It was amazing. My sister-in-law heated it up. They had brought it back. It was a 6-year-old bottle they brought back from Poland.
I love Jaros.
And then they aged it for another 4. Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he really
and
is.
So I'm like, that's what I got to try to do. Something more traditional, a little sweeter, higher alcohol. And from there it's just kind of making batch after batch.
Dang. You need to hook up. You need to hook up with Rob Ratliff. He's made some amazing Polish meads, and when I introduced him to the folks at Corpo in Poland, when we had one of the Mazer cups, he had some of his mead with him, and I made him give them some to taste, and they were like pretty much going, so when can you start? That's how good his Polish meads are. I was stunned, I knew they were good, but I didn't know they were that good, So yeah, it was pretty amazing. So did you grow up around wine and mead, or is this just something you got interested in?
Just got interested in it. I may or may not have tried a mead when I was really young at church. Okay. My dad used to take me to, but I don't remember if that was mead or not. I was too young.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I've always known about it, what it was. My father and mother both grew up in Poland and then moved here, so they were aware of what mead was. But I've never really had drank it until 2011. So
okay, so wow, you guys just jumped right into it then. So how did you get from I make this really awesome stuff and dude, you've got a basement to let's start a business? It's actually quite simple. I'm erratic and impatient and ambitious, and all good traits to have as a mead maker.
Right. And I was like, I could, I was finishing up my degree. I think I had a semester left, and I was like, well, while I'm looking for jobs, I'll start the licensing process and start making mead, see what happens, so that I have a backup plan in case I don't become a forest ranger. And, obviously that ended up being the job I'm doing now full time, but yeah.
I'm sorry, it just cracks me up. It's like, well, I want to be a forest ranger, but just in case that doesn't work, I'm going to make mead.
Right, yeah. And we were going to do it in his basement, because in Michigan you're allowed to make mead from the home.
Yeah.
It just, after some time, we just realized it just really wasn't enough room, at least not to make a decent amount. To sustain itself, so we ended up looking for a new location out on Century Avenue. Still pretty small operation, but a lot more freedom and a lot easier to get approved.
Yeah.
Very strict rules when it comes to residential winemaking.
Yeah, I can well imagine. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, then after a year of production, that's when I started feeling like it was time to do the tasting room. And so got another few rooms attached to the production area and then built out a tasting room that has a really nice Viking mead hall feel to it.
Cool. So you did build a mead hall then?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, the article I read about you guys in the Grand Haven News was talking about, how you wanted to build a mead hall and everything, but that was a little while ago, so...
Yeah. It's, this is just kind of a prototype, mead hall interior. We just bought some property out in Howard City that we're going to put a new production area in.
Nice.
I don't know how long it's been before it's ready, but that'll be the spot where we decide we're going to build the actual mead hall. I'm thinking, 10, 15,000 square foot, gorgeous stone wall, stuff like that. That's obviously a very long project, but but that's what I'm really excited about. Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah, that's a. Okay, you guys are in GR now. Where's? I know of Howard City, but my geography's failing me here on exactly. I'm from north of you guys. I grew up near Manistee. So.
Okay.
Yeah. But Howard City is. I know of it, but not exactly where.
It's 30 minutes north. Probably like north of what is it? Sand Lake and Pearson.
Okay.
But yeah, if you take the 131 north.
Okay.
About 30 minutes.
Okay.
You'll hit Howard City.
Yep. Okay. Now I know where it is.
And then we also want to stay in Grand Rapids, so we're currently looking for new locations, larger locations for a new tasting room.
Oh, nice.
As well. So.
Oh gosh, now I got to try to figure out how to visit you guys while I'm home in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'm already trying to strong arm my husband into giving me the car because we're going to be in Flint for a few days. His family's from there, and we're going up for his mother's memorial. And while we're there, we're gonna go up a day early. And I was like, so I want to go down to Ferndale and visit B Nectar and Schramm's Mead and maybe a couple of other meaderies. And he's like, how are you gonna do that without a car? Because I'm gonna be visiting my friends up here. so yeah, we're currently having car wars. Yeah, I may have to rent a car to drive to Detroit. But cool, that's just awesome. It sounds like you guys are just kicking up the volume and really growing by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Well, if you went from a basement to a production facility, what kind of challenges did you face in upsizing your processes?
Getting used to large-scale fermenters. It's super hard to, clean and make the mead, like clean the fermenters and make the mead with just one person. For the most part, I kind of operate on a daily basis myself, and then David helps out whenever he has the chance to, because he has a real job.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to live in the working world of full time, 8 to 5 type job. So hopefully not for long though.
Nice.
So Maciej is a former nuclear submarine technician. Does that mean that the basement is completely packed and your work area gets really cramped? Is he comfortable working in those conditions? And how do you cope with such a thing?
Yeah. So I do try to maximize the amount of space I'm using. Having been on a submarine, it's a lot easier for me to work in really tight spaces. So I definitely have all of my fermenters crammed in the actual production area, which is nice because it lets me take the few hundred square feet I have of production space and maximize production.
Yeah.
So David's got the tiny house, and you've got the tiny fermentation area.
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. We like to keep it tiny and compact.
Yeah, okay, what is it about you guys in tiny here? I mean, really? I mean, is this is this whole being a subtech? Is this like catching or what?
I think it's just subconscious. I was just so used to living on a tiny boat for so long that I feel at home when I'm claustrophobic, I guess.
Yeah, I can just see him going through the production area going, make a hole!
Yeah.
In all fairness, the tiny house I live in was my wife's idea, so
yeah.
I just I followed along. It was on our third date. She pretty much said, hey, are you interested in tiny houses? And I found out later if it was no, then
that would have been the last date.
That would have been the final date. So, yeah, right answer. And luckily, I've got a construction background, so I could build her a tiny house too. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and that's curious because they touched on the thing that caught my attention. Of course, was mead tap. So,
right.
So of course I looked up in time to see her going, oh hell no, you're not going to cut a hole in the side of our refrigerator that's brand new.
Well, I know. we ended up doing it, and I hate to admit it, but if I would have drilled the hole at that point in time, it would have been in the wrong place.
Oh, really?
We made a last minute decision on how to do the mead tap coming out of the refrigerator, and it totally would have been in the wrong place. So,
no.
She's definitely got that one on me, and definitely has national coverage to prove that she was right. So. Yep. Not much you can do about that now.
Because she was on the show and she's going, She's going, honey, measure twice, cut once. Let's make sure it's in the right spot before you get that drill, because he's got the drill in his hand. Yeah.
I was like, we can always foam it shut, right? Drill another hole, whatever. Just do it. Get it done.
And we're talking a brand new refrigerator, like they just pulled the plastic off this thing, and she's going, no.
Yeah.
So, did you just? That was something that Manny and AJ and I were talking about this yesterday when we had our pre-show. Catch up on what we need to work on meeting and everything, and when we kind of were talking about that when I was telling them your story, David, and so my curiosity was it really as easy as just drilling a hole in the side of the fridge and inserting a tap, or was there a little bit more science to it than that?
Yeah, so I like to kind of just I knew I wanted a mead tap, and I had no idea how I was gonna drill it, what I was gonna even do, and so on the show, the house looks done. It actually wasn't. I'll let you guys know. It wasn't even close to being done. No plumbing work, not a lot work, but I did get the mead tap working for the show, and it wasn't till about 11 o'clock the night before the show, they did the final filming for the show, that I actually figured out how I was going to do the mead tap. I like to just do and think about things, and I was like, I'll figure it out eventually. But there was just how to make the tap and make it look nice. And if you've seen the show, we ended up using 1 inch, just copper piping, water pipe, and then I attached that to the side of the cupboard and did a nice kind of design on that, and then just ran my tubing through that. And then, of course, the best part of the tap is the bear that Maciej carved.
Yeah.
He asked me, what type of wood, and I ended up picking a very hard wood, and so I think for about 3 weeks he had hand cramps after carving that for me. But you want to know what? It looks great, and my hands were fine, so no big deal.
He's at home chipping away at this going, damn you, David.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have arthritis now, thanks.
Yeah, that's fake.
That's so funny. So it's all working good. Then do you just are you just keeping a corny keg in the fridge then, or what?
So I have to give a shout out to Man Can. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Man Can. It's like 128 ounce personal keg. I was at a brewery and I said, hey, do you guys fill these? And he's like, yeah, we call them stumblers. So you've got your growler, and then you've got your tumbler, and the 128 ounce ones they call stumblers.
Oh,
which
funny.
I like. So basically, it's a setup that has that allows you to put just a small CO2 cartridge, and then it has a hose coming off of it. So I have that right in my fridge. I stop by the meadery every 128 ounces to up and get home, and it's actually, I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or bad thing, because when you walk in your house and one of the first things you see, is the whole house, because it's really small, so you really see everything right away. But then you see the tap, and you're like, yeah, maybe I should have one, It's been a long day.
Yeah, yeah. Man has to have his need.
Yeah.
And it does have the corny connections on the top of the cap, so it's like a twin top.
Yeah.
I thought it looked like a tiny little, it looked like a tiny little, corny keg, and I thought, wow, how's he fitting a corny keg in the fridge?
Yeah, well, if it was my choice, I would have a full keg in there, but I don't think the wife would have went for that.
Yeah, well, as it was, she let you drill a hole in the side of her refrigerator, so you're lucky you got away with that.
I know, she still doesn't like it, but I was like, listen, this will be good advertisement for Arktos, so, we just have to do it. And so that was my reasoning to get what I wanted. So
that's great. That's so cool, though.
For your mead recipes, do you do a lot of experimentation to fine-tune each recipe as you're developing it, or do you just make stuff and it comes out however it comes out and you work with it that way?
Right. So that's actually a pretty good question. I do a fine-tune. So Queen Bee, my traditional mead, which is my favorite. I worked on that for 2.5 years before I even was considering opening the meadery. just taking a little of this away and putting a little of that in.